So, good evening, everybody. Welcome to our new live show, the live stream of the Studienberatung, the service for academic advising service of the computer science department at the University of Paderborn. My name is Harald Selke, as you already saw down there, and if just in case that you don't know me. And yeah, it's just the same as it is every week. As you may already know, we have this weekly live stream here, mostly weekly at least. So every Thursday from 6 to 7 p.m. We're having this little conversation, or rather I'm talking all the time and nobody else is asking any questions. But that's basically the idea here, that we have a questions and answers session, and these sessions, as I said, are based on are weekly, so are sent out or broadcast on a weekly basis. So you're welcome to ask your questions here, and we have a weekly changing with a repeating topic. So every 4 weeks we repeat basically the same stuff, which means that we talk about our bachelor and our master program. We have two live streams concerning the bachelor program. Those are usually always in the first 2 weeks of each month. So next week we'll start again, because next week it will be December, obviously. So we'll start again with a show for our bachelor mostly geared towards our bachelor students, which will be in German. And that's for our first semester students as well as prospective bachelor students. So people who plan or are thinking about studying here in Paderborn in computer science. The week after that, so that would then be the 9th of December, I think, if I remember correctly, 2 weeks from now, that is, we'll be having a talk about the show will be geared towards our current bachelor students, again in German. And then in 3 weeks from now, we'll have again a show for our for our master program, of course, and that will be geared towards our prospective master students as well as our first semester master students, but everybody is welcome there. So even if you are already studying here in a higher semester in our master program, you can come there as well, because in 4 weeks from now we won't make a live stream. So that will be there will be a couple of exceptions, because that will be around the Christmas time. And as you probably know, here in Germany, Christmas time is a very quiet time, and so nobody will be around here. So on the 23rd of December, I won't broadcast a live stream. There will be no show on that evening. And then we'll start again in January. And so the next show with the same topic as today will then be in 2 months from now, not in 1 month from now as it would usually be, but by the end of January. By that time, of course, the semester already comes to a close, so maybe some questions have arisen until then. And so just if you see this after the fact, watch this after the fact, then you can obviously send emails to me, or you just tune in next time around. And as I said, if there's any urgent questions, of course, you can also visit the live stream in 3 weeks from now, which, as I said, is again for the master program and is in English, of course, as well as it is tonight. So before I'll just as usual, just ask your questions whenever there is any question, and I'll come back to the question as soon as I can. But of course, there are also a couple of things that we should, well, not a couple of things. There's mainly one thing which I want to get to have said here before everything starts, and you may have already seen that in the pre-show screen that you saw here on YouTube, and this is the important message for tonight. Registrations for course achievements as well as exams and tonight, so make sure that everything is as it should be. So check with your Paul account. Students who are already studying here hopefully will know what Paul is and will have registered there all of the courses. For those who aren't here yet, this is our campus management system, and every course and every exam has to be registered with that system. And if you don't do that, you simply can't take part in the exam. And it's in particular, or it's especially important that you also check that you are registered for course achievements if you are in the first semester of a project group, and that you are registered for exams if you are in a seminar or if you are in the second semester of a project group. And if you for some reason couldn't register for anything that you believe that you should have been registered for, then you should immediately, and I really mean immediately, that is tonight until 11:59 this evening, you should definitely send an email to the examination office, because you're already very, very late, and tonight is the last chance to get into exams. Basically, at least. So make sure that everything is looking fine, so that you won't discover in end of January or beginning of February, when the exams will be taking place, that by that time you suddenly discover, oh, there is something which I forgot, because then by that time it will be too late. So make sure everything is fine, and if you watch this after the fact and you can and you think, oh, well, I have missed the deadline, you can still contact the examination office and see what can be done. There may be ways around that, but it's always difficult. It's always a bit of a hassle, and it's annoying for everybody, including yourselves. And so please make sure that everything is registered, that you have registered for all the course achievements as well as the exams. So that's the one important message that I wanted to get off my chest, and now we're ready to go. Just as usual, we'll make ourselves a nice evening here, and as usual, I've got something to drink here. Again, I usually drink a non-alcoholic beer here, but for the second time in a row, I'm now moving to apple juice. So cheers, and let's enjoy the evening as good as we can. So lay back and enjoy, and ask your questions, of course. If you don't ask any questions, then I will be just talking all the time, and maybe there's something of interest to you, and maybe there isn't. But unless as long as I don't know what your questions are, well, I can't do too much here, because I just have to guess what your questions might be. And of course, just as usual, I have prepared a couple of things. And I'd like to start with some information that I have already teased in the last weeks, and this is the one thing which is now almost certain. It's not yet completely certain, but it's almost certain that from the next semester onwards, from the summer semester on, that is from April onwards, we'll have a new focus area in our study program, in our master program, and that focus area is called security. And the security focus area consists of a couple of modules, of course, and you can see them over here. The course is Advanced Distributed Algorithms and Data Structures, which is running right now. And if you have registered for that course, if you're taking part in that course, and maybe also take the exam, then you will be able to transfer that later on if you decide in, say, a year from now, because now you obviously couldn't choose it as part of the focus area security, but this course is also in other focus areas, and if you pick the course in another focus area, then of course you will be able to move that over to the security area once that security area exists. So if you plan to take your specialization in security, which is then also printed on your exam, as you know, and on your exam certificates, on your master certificate, it will be written, well, you are now Master of Computer Science with the specialization in, for example, security or algorithm design or whatever, or any of the now 7 focus areas that are available to you in our master program. And so because you couldn't choose that focus area until now, but you will be able to do that from next semester onwards with almost 100%, close to 100%. And so let's say 99% probability the focus area will be in existence from next summer semester onwards. So you can move that course over later to the security area, to the security focus area, if you decide to pick that as your specialization. Then there's a couple of more courses which are not being offered in this semester, and that's designing code analyses for large-scale software systems 1 and 2. Then we have Foundations of Cryptography, which will be part of the new focus area, security. We have Introduction to Quantum Computation and Quantum Complexity Theory, so two quantum complexity or quantum computation topics that we are having here. Then we have Real-World Crypto Engineering and Web Security. And there is a brand new course also, which is, I just skipped over because it's so new that it's not yet even, that it has never been offered before. So that will be a new course which will be available from next summer semester. Again, as usual, on a yearly, more or less on a yearly basis. So it will be offered once a year probably. And that course is called Usable Security and Privacy. So that's a brand new course. We haven't had that before. We have a new professor here. I've talked about that a couple of weeks ago. And that will be a new course. And finally, there's one important message for those of you who are already taking a course with our new professor in this semester, and that's the course Privacy Enhancing Technologies, plural. So privacy enhancing technologies, and that course, we have announced that this is a one-time course. So that course will only be offered in this semester and never again, probably. But if you have taken that course in this semester, then you will also be able to shift that course into the new focus area, security, if you wish to specialize in security. So that will be another option that you have for the future. So those are the courses that we are offering in this new focus area. As I said, one course which has only been offered or is currently being offered in this semester and will never be offered again, plus a new course which will start next semester, and a couple of courses that we already have in our program, but which are now also offered in another focus area, or maybe shifted to another focus area. So they may also be removed from one of the other focus areas, but that shouldn't do any harm to you, because if you already picked it in one of the focus areas where a module will no longer belong to, then you will still be able, you have already registered that within that focus area, so you can still use it within that specialization area. So there's nothing to worry about. You won't lose anything there. So that's one of the important things I wanted to tell you, so that you are just informed that there will be a new option in our course program. And just for those of you, oh, what's this? Excuse me, just a second. I was just wondering about a couple of things here. Okay, just a second. Yeah, that's the one thing I wanted to show you. This is our current, oh, sorry. This is what I wanted to do. This is the overview of all the focus areas that we have in our master program. As you can see on the top of up there, it's still a hexagon. It needs to be a heptagon from now on, because we have 7 focus areas now, and those of you who are here should already be aware of those options that you have, so you can specialize in any of those focus areas. As I said, security is the one coming up. There's algorithm design, computer systems, data science, networks and intelligence and data, networks and communication, and software engineering. So whichever of those areas you choose as your specialization area, it will be printed on your master's certificate in the end. And your master's thesis, of course, has to be in that specialization area, and you have to take at least 3 courses, 3 modules within that specialization area. And you can take your seminars or project groups from any area, so they are not assigned to any of those areas, so that's no problem at all. They're independent of those focus areas, but you need to have at least 3 modules completed, really completed in that focus area which you decide will be your specialization area. You don't have to pick the specialization area right at the beginning of the semester. That's absolutely unnecessary. You can just start studying here and go along a while and see what is interesting to you, and then you can decide which focus area you wish to take. And this is something I'd like to talk about a little bit, but for some reason my slide, oh, there it is. That's a bit, yeah, okay. Yeah, well, we can do it like that. Okay, and that's this is now this getting organized within your master program. This is something, as long as there are no questions here, this is the way how to approach your master program here is something that I would like to talk about tonight for a little bit. And students often are, of course, well, when you come here, everything is new to you. That's perfectly normal, of course. And it's not just that you're in a different country. You're also in a university where things work probably much different from what they did in your own old university where you achieved your bachelor degree. You are in the computer science department where things are maybe different than in other departments, for example. So that's a lot of things that you need to get used to and that might be new to you, of course. And of course, that all may be a little bit overwhelming from, as I said, the culture, the city, the living, finding your way around, and of course within our course program. And while I can't really help you with many of those questions, I think the one area where I might be a little bit of help is how to approach your master program once you are here. Because one of the problems, of course, is which courses should I pick? What should I do? Maybe you already know or have an idea what the specialization you're looking for. That you're looking for a certain specialization area, so that you're saying, I always knew that, let's say, for example, algorithm design, that's my thing. I definitely want to go there and study that. That should be my specialization area, or intelligence and data, or data science, or whatever, or security, of course. And maybe that's the case, but maybe you find out once you're here that there are other interesting topics as well, and you find, well, that focus area is not quite what I wanted to, or maybe you find out that the focus area, there's other focus areas that or other courses that are more interesting to you, and so you will be looking around a little bit, shopping around, so to speak, and take a sneak peek here, take a sneak peek there, and try to find out what is the right thing. And that's perfectly fine for when you're starting here, especially for the first semester. I would definitely recommend looking into different directions, not being too preoccupied with the thoughts with which you came here, because you should have an open mind for the things you didn't expect, maybe. And there's always things you didn't expect, naturally. So the question then is, what would be a wise way in your first semester to choose your courses, or your modules, as we also call them, when you're here? And this is something which I would want to talk about tonight for the first semester, and also for the upcoming semesters. So for the first semester, if you just started here and you're just currently in the first semester, and you have already picked some of those modules, and I've already given this couple of these recommendations to our first year students, but maybe there's someone also watching this who is not yet a first year student and may come next year, so maybe those hints can help somebody. And my recommendation is always just to pick something like 5 modules, 5 different courses that you believe you are interested in, and you will always find plenty of modules. So there's lots and lots of courses which you can choose from, and you should try and find out what are the most interesting ones. And there's a couple of ways that you can find those modules that might be of interest to you. Of course, first of all, there's in that PAL system that I already mentioned, there's the complete course catalog. So you'll find every course in there, but that's just the title. And just from the title, you can't guess what's inside the course, of course. So what you basically need is some more information. What is this course about? And that's the point where the module handbook comes into play. The module handbook is something which is published on our websites. All the websites, all important links are below this video. Just scroll through those websites and try to find out which information is most interesting to you. And on our own website, that is the website of the Student Advisory Service, which is on the first link below this video. There you'll find the module handbook. And the module handbook contains quite detailed descriptions about what the content of the course is, what the students who participate in the course are supposed to learn, the competences within the subject, with computer science related, but also the so-called non-cognitive competences, which include something like, for example, like teamwork or all those soft skills. And of course, in different courses, different soft skills may be more or less important. And those soft skills are also listed within that module handbook. Then there's also something, also the prerequisites are described there. And in the master program, usually there's very few exceptions where there's a formal prerequisite. For example, if you want to visit a course which has the number 2, like Machine Learning 2, for example, then you still can visit it, but the lecturer will expect that you have a solid background in machine learning already, which should be roughly equivalent to what has been taught in Machine Learning course number 1. But we only have a couple, maybe 2 or 3 of those number 2 courses, and all the other courses are number 1 courses or don't have a number at all. And that means you can visit them without any formal prerequisites. But that doesn't mean that you don't have to know certain things. And so the kind of knowledge you should bring along, that is also something which is listed in those in the module handbook, but only partially, because there's only very little room for that in this module handbook. The module handbook contains all the modules, and it already is like 200 pages long or something like that. And we don't want to inflate that module handbook too much. So you'll find some information in there, but there is an even better place for finding good information. And again, that is also linked below this video here. And that's what we are calling the self-assessments. Those self-assessments explain to you what you could what the lecturer expects you to know before you start the course. So it's not an exam or a kind of easy type exam or something like that, but it's something that the lecturer thinks that you should have knowledge about, or that you should be able to solve. There's questions, it's all multiple choice questions, and you can simply answer them and will get immediate feedback then after the test. And then you can judge for yourself if you would be able to answer those questions. Nobody else is judging you, you're just doing that for yourself. So it's really a self-assessment, and nobody else sees the results, so nobody will tell you, well, you can't take part in this course. But you yourself should be able to judge yourself, to assess yourself, if you would be really able to take part in that course after you've taken part in that self-assessment. Because if you don't know all the notions that are being talked about in this self-assessment, then you probably, that course isn't the right course for you, and you should think about choosing something else. So take those self-assessments seriously. As I said, it's just for yourself, and it's to prevent you from picking the wrong courses. Nobody else is going to check what you did there. So, and as I said, I would recommend taking 5 courses, starting the semester with 5 courses. That doesn't mean that you need to take 5 exams at the end of the semester. In fact, I would really recommend against trying to do that, even trying to do 5 exams at the end of the semester, unless you're very confident that you can manage them all. But usually I would recommend strip that down during the semester, because you might start with 5 courses and then you'll find, oh, well, not all of them are equally interesting, or maybe you feel that one or the other is too difficult for you, and that you have that you're struggling to keep up with the pace of the lecture. And in that case, you should consider dropping out of that course. That's no shame at all. And also remember that it's very hard for you when you start here to judge how much work are those courses really. Because there's lots of things in the first semester that you need to manage. You need to manage your life here in Germany, Paderborn in particular. You need to find your way around. Maybe you don't already have accommodation within the city, and so maybe you have to travel over further distances than a student who is living in Paderborn already. And everything is different, everything is strange to you, and you need to find your way around, and that makes the first semester really difficult, I believe, at least. I don't have the experience, but I believe it is quite difficult for many students who come here to get oriented, to find your way around, to get into a kind of good work and life flow, and find your work-life balance within your master program studies. And also you might have a job whilst studying, which is also something which subtracts time from the time that you can spend within your course program, within the master program. And so you might find that you simply took on too much. You took on a bite that is too much to chew. And in that case, you need to do something. And that's what I would strongly recommend. So as I said, start out with like 5 courses, 5 modules. Module and course is basically the same. We call them sometimes modules, sometimes courses, and technically a course is part of a module, but well, we won't bother with all those fine details here because they are not important for what we're talking about tonight. So just pick your courses as you think that might be interesting to you. And if you already have an idea which focus area you might want to go to, then it's a good idea to pick at least 2 courses from that area. So if you already know, well, networks and communication is something I'm really interested in, then try to find 2 courses from that focus area and pick them. And take 3 courses from any other area, just the courses that sound most interesting to you. And then you're already quite good to go. Because if you later on decide that, well, networks and communication isn't really the focus area I want to go into, I want to go into another focus area, then you already have options because you already took some of the other courses as well. But if you decide that that you really find out, yes, that's it. That's it. That's my the thing where I want to go to. That's the area where I want to specialize in. Then you can do that, and you already have. If you manage to do both of the exams, at least you already have 2 modules completed. Which means you just need 1 more module from that focus area, and then of course you need 5 more modules because you need to complete 8 modules in the end to get your master's degree. But you already have fulfilled, then you might already be able to fulfill the requirements of 3 modules in the specialization area within the first 2 semesters. And that leaves a lot of wiggle room, a lot of room to play around with, to just pick different courses, interesting courses that you really like for the rest of your program here, which is for the 2nd year, or if you decide to study longer, of course, during the rest of your study program here. So that would be my recommendation. So if you already have an idea, maybe you won't stick to that idea, but if you already have an idea, well, that might be my specialization. I know from the applications that many of you are already coming with ideas and say, well, I would like to go into data science, for example, or into the area of intelligent machines, so machine learning and things like that. And then it would be a good idea to go into intelligence and data, for example. So I know that there are many students who already have some idea, but as I said, keep an open mind, and maybe you'll switch to some other focus area because the focus area isn't as what you expected it to be, or you find that your interests have shifted, or whatever the reason may be. So keep an open mind, but pick at least a little bit from, if you already have such an idea, which focus area might be your specialization in the future. Pick at least 2 courses, 2 modules from that area. If you don't have an idea which focus area you might want to take as your specialization later on in your master program, then just pick any 5 modules. You can't do anything wrong within the first semester. Just pick any 5 modules and just, well, you can do something wrong, of course. You can pick courses which aren't adequate to you, which you aren't interested in. And that's something you should never do. Always pick along or choose along your interests, because if you're interested in something, then you will be good in it, usually. Not everybody is, but in general. the better, the more you are interested in something, the more time you will invest into it, and the better you usually get. So it's generally quite a close correlation there. So I would really recommend pick along your interests. Don't think about what might be the best best modules that give me the best chances for working, for finding a job later on, something like that. Don't do that because you don't know what will be good topics for the job you will be applying for later on. So really choose along your interests. That's the main message here. Okay, so as I said, that's the case. That's in particular true when you don't have any idea yet which area you want to specialize in, or if you're very open-minded. But again, whichever modules you choose, take those self-assessments before picking the courses. First of all, read the descriptions in the module handbook, of course. That's the first step to find out don't choose just pick a course just because of the title. Don't judge a book by its cover, as they say. So read the module descriptions and try to find out if that course really is something for you. And if you think it is, check on the website linked below. Check if there is a self-assessment for the module. Again, the link is also on this on the slide here. It's a very long link. You don't want to type that, so that's why the link is below this video as well. So check that. Check whether there is a self-assessment, and if there is, of course, take it. And after that, judge yourself, assess yourself, if you really think that you might be able to take part in that course. As I said, that's the knowledge that is being checked in those self-assessments is something that the lecturers expect that you bring along when starting the course. It's not it's not about the content of the course, but it's about whether you know what is expected from you to already know. So like, for example, if you go into data science, you can be pretty sure that you need to have some knowledge, at least in statistics, in most courses at least. So and they won't teach you statistics in the data science course, because everybody is expecting that you have a solid background in statistics, or some kind of background in statistics. And the same goes for any of those other courses. If you go into complexity theory, for example, you can be pretty sure that you should have some knowledge in complexity theory already. If you don't know what a Turing machine is, if you don't know what NP completeness is, and if you've never done a proof about proving that some problem is NP complete, for example, if you don't know what a reduction is, then you're probably not the right person for this course. Or the other way around, the course is not the right choice for you, because you can't change yourself very easily. Well, you can learn something, of course, but in particular, the course might not be suited for you. And you might take that course later on, but maybe then that's a strong hint that you should buy a good book, or rent a good book, lend a good book from our library, and learn about that stuff if you're really interested in that field. And so that next time, in the semester or in a year from now, that you can again take that self-assessment and find out, well, now I bring along all those prerequisites, and now I can take that course. So of course you can change yourself as well, but as I said, it must be a fit. So the course must be somewhat fitting to you, and you for the course, of course. Of course. Once you've done that, register for the modules. That's usually done at the beginning of the semester. There's 2 phases where you can register for the modules and the courses. It's always, as I said, this is now the picky little details. We have courses and modules. Basically, we're talking about modules, and within each module, basically, not in all modules, but in almost all modules, there's just one course, and you always need to register for both. You register for the module, you register for the course, and then you're good to go. The first phase for registration is always already in the semester break, so that next time that will be starting sometime in February and going into March. And then there will be a second phase for registration, which is then running in the semester. So if you once the semester starts, there's again a registration phase. For the next semester, I know we're talking about the first semester here, so this is somewhat redundant at this point, but in general, I would recommend try to pick your courses as early as you can. So if you're studying here right now, then you should try to you should check in like in early February once you're done with the lectures. Then it's time to already plan for the upcoming semester. So always look a little ahead and plan which courses you want to take. So and simply register for those courses that you are interested in. Mind the deadlines. There's always deadlines, and there's a Twitter account which is also linked on the website, which is linked down here below, as I already said, and that we will always remind you of any deadlines that are coming up. So via Twitter, and those deadlines are of course also published on the websites of the university at different places. So check those deadlines, and remember, you need to meet them, because after the deadline has passed, you can't do anything anymore. As I said, there is a second registration phase, so if you missed the registration phase in now February, March, that wouldn't be too much of a problem, because you can register again once the semester starts. So there's nothing is lost by that time. But it's always a good idea to plan as early as you can. So register for those, and as I said, for every course that you might be interested in, because only if you're registered for the course, you will then have access to the course material. Because the course material it's not in the PAL system, it's in the Panda system, and the Panda system is connected to the PAL system in the way that only those students who are registered for the course in PAL will also have access to all the course material within the Panda system. And that's why it's a good idea to do it as early, to register for the courses as early as you can, because then you won't miss any information, any material which might already be available during the semester break, so that you already get more information about the course which you are going to pick in the next semester. Once the semester has started, those of you who are already studying here should know that there is 2 more registrations that you need to do if you want to take the exam, and that is the course achievement and the exam. The course achievement is something you have to fulfill in order to be allowed into the exam. So not all courses have course achievements, but many do. And if in those courses where there's no course achievement, everybody can take part in the exam. But in those courses where there is a course achievement, only you need to pass that course achievement, and only then you will be allowed to take part in the exam. You can and need to register quite early. So again, like I said, tonight is the night. Tonight at 11:59 p.m. is the deadline, and until then you need to have registered for all course achievements and exams for any of the modules you are taking part in this semester. So, and as you know, the semester still runs until end of January, or even first week of February, I think. But still, you need to register for your course achievements and the exams by tonight. By tonight, 11:59 p.m. And after that, you need to find out if there's more ways for late registrations. There are ways for late registrations, but you shouldn't use them, and you can only use those twice during your complete study program, during the course of your master program. So make sure, excuse me for a moment. So make sure that you really have registered for everything that you want to take part in. And if you've done that, then you're good to go for the rest of the semester. If you already have decided by this time in the semester, as I said, we're now roughly 7 weeks into the semester, and that's always around the time when this deadline for the registration of course achievements and exams is. So by now, after 7 weeks in the first semester, or in that semester, you should be able to tell. You should be able to tell if you really want to take part in the exam or if you don't. So if you decide that from those 5 courses that you picked at the beginning, you already know that there's one which doesn't really meet your interests, or there is one where you find out that well, somewhat, it's too difficult for me. I thought I bring along all the prerequisites, but I found out I don't. The professor expects things that I simply have never heard about, that I don't know, and that I'm not able to work to find out for myself while doing all the other modules. Or it is simply too much work for you for some reason, because you find out that you just pick too many modules and have too many other things that you need to take care of. Then you can simply not register for the course achievement and not register for the exam, or the other way around, you simply deregister from both of them if you have already registered from them, because registration has already been open for like 4 weeks or so. So if you have already registered for them, and that's the other important thing, you can also deregister from those. But that's not the deadline for tonight. You still have time for deregistrations later on. So if by now you're still unsure if you want to take the exam in that course or if you don't, then just stay put and just go on with the semester just as usual, and try to work your way through those courses, and everything should be fine. But as I said, if you find out that you just have taken a bite that is too large to chew, really watch yourself, evaluate yourself, and think about it. Will you be really able to manage all that? Because it's better if by the end of the first semester you only have managed to pass a couple of those exams. Like 2 exams, for example, is better than trying 5 exams and failing all of them. It's better for your own mindset, because if you manage something, it's always a positive, something positive, of course, and then it will be making you stronger in a way. And if you find out that you fail all the exams, well, that's of course a question of you'll start doubting yourself. Did I pick the right courses? Did I pick the right program? Was it a good idea to come to Paderborn or to Germany in general? Or should I do something completely else? So if you struggle with a course, or if you struggle with the total workload that you took on, as I just said, if it just turns out that it's way too much that you wanted to achieve in this first semester, and then, as I said, watch yourself carefully. Be honest to yourself. That's one of the most important things. Be honest to yourself. One of the other most important things is talk to your professors or to the teaching assistants giving those courses if there's any difficulties. Those people are approachable. You can talk to the people, and that's probably the single most important thing. Communicate. Talk to other people, not just to your fellow students, but also to the teaching assistants and also to the professors, and ask them if, for example, you find out after 2 weeks, well, there's something which I don't really understand. They can help you. They may give you additional hints, and that may be additional work for you, of course, because they might say, well, that's not topic of this course, but we can recommend a good book to you, and that book is in the library, so go to the library, lend that book, and work your way through it. They won't be able to explain everything in that other book because they expect that you already know that. But still, they can give you good hints. And then, again, that might be a lot of work for you. And that might increase the workload in one course. But if there is a course that you really want to take, well, then invest that work. Do it. And maybe drop another course, because you find out that other course might be not that interesting to you. I still have something in my throat again. Excuse me for a second. So should be back again, I hope. Just checking. Yep, sound should be there. So, as I said, if you struggle with a single course or 2 courses, or if you find out that the workload is just too high for this semester, then concentrate on those modules that are most interesting to you and that you are most confident to pass. And if you do that, then you can simply deregister from the other courses, and that's very important here. You need to deregister from those course achievements and from the exams of those courses that you want to drop out from. Again, there are deadlines. That's what the text behind my video here right now. There are deadlines that you have to take care of, and that deadline is usually, it's announced in each and every course. Each and every course will tell you at the beginning of the semester. This is, again, one very important thing. Go to the first lecture in the semester in each and every course, because in that first lecture, the lecturers will tell you quite a lot of things, like, for example, what will the exam look like? What will the course achievement look like? What are the deadlines you need to observe? And all that stuff will be told to you in the first semester, in the first lecture of a semester. Sorry, and that in each course. And it's important that because the deadlines are basically the same in all courses, but there are differences in, like, for example, what is the course achievement and what is, of course, the content of the lecture, and what is what type of exam will that be? Will it be a written exam? Will it be an oral exam, or whatever? All of those things will be the lecturer will announce to you in the first lecture of a semester. So it's very important that you be there for the first lecture in each course in the semester. And suppose that by tonight, you have already registered for some of the exams, some of the course achievements, and then you find out, well, I don't want to take this course at some time by now or even later, regardless, by around 2 weeks before the last lecture is. So take the last day of lectures in the semester. It's beginning of February, if I remember correctly. Don't have the exact date handy right now. And if from there on you go 2 weeks back, a fortnight, exactly 14 days back from there, and that's usually the date when there is the last chance to deregister from the course achievement, and you need to do that. You need to deregister from the course achievement, because if you have the course achievement entered, if you don't deregister, then by the end of the semester, the lecturers will enter the course achievement as either failed, if you didn't pass it, or as passed, if you passed the course achievement. And no matter what the lecturer puts in there, no matter whether you have failed or passed the course achievement, you will be stuck with that module. So you can't deregister from that module once that course achievement has been entered. At least that's currently, for the time being, this is the rule. So you can't get out of that module, which means that you, at some point during your study, you basically have to complete that module. There are a couple of exceptions, because there's something which we call additional modules, or the so-called container, and you can put aside modules, or rather you can choose additional modules later on, and then you can swap modules which are still open, like which would be one of the modules where you have a course achievement but haven't passed it yet, or have passed it but haven't passed the exam yet. And then you can switch out another module which you already have passed with that module. But there's only limited spots for that. You can do that only 3 times. That's a hard limit. There's no way out of that. So if at some point you decide, well, I don't want to take part in this exam, then deregister from the course achievement and also deregister from the exam. For the deregistration of the exam, you even have more time than that. You can always deregister from an exam until 7 days before the exam, 7 full days. So again, there is a strict deadline. If you are just like 2 hours late, then you need to take part in the exam, or the exam will be graded as failed if you don't take part in the exam. So again, very important. Keep those deadlines in mind. As I said, all those deadlines will be announced to you by the lecturer in the first lecture in each course in each semester. But if you deregister from the course exam and the exam, then no harm has been done. And that's the important point which I want to make here. Because if you start out with 5 courses, as I said, suggested, and then you find that there's one course which is not as interesting as you thought it might be, then there is another course where you find out, well, it's too hard for me. And there's 3 more, and then you deregister from those 2 courses. And then you'll only have, then it's basically as if you, from the beginning on, you only would have taken 3 courses. And that you've ever been to any of the other 2 courses, no, basically you could say nobody knows about that. In fact, we do know, the systems know about it, but we just don't care. So it's basically as if you have never taken up those other 2 courses at all. So then you're basically left with 3 courses in this example. But remember, you need to deregister from course achievement as well as the exam in those 2 which you don't want, supposedly 2, which you don't want to take part in. And then you're just left with 3 courses that you want to take the exam in. And then you can still decide if you want to take all of them in the first examination phase, because there's a first examination phase and there's a second examination phase. The first examination phase is in the first half of the semester break. So usually, now if we're talking about this semester, the first examination phase will be from beginning of February until beginning of March until beginning of March. And the second examination phase will then be from beginning of March until end of March. That's roughly the time frame. The exact time frame is published on the Paul website again, so you can check those dates. And you can always decide if you want to take part in any of those courses. For each course individually, you can decide whether you want to take part in the exam in the first examination phase or in the second examination phase. You can decide that for each course independently. So you can split the amount of work that you have to do for preparing for the exams by, for example, taking 2 exams in the first examination phase and 1 in the second examination phase. Always keep in mind that there will be, if you take an exam in the first examination phase, then you'll also have a chance to complete the module in the second examination phase should you fail in the first one. So if, let's say, this number 1 course, this index finger course here is the course that you, and the middle finger course, those are the 2 courses that you have decided to take the exam in the first examination phase, and the ring finger one is in the second examination phase. Then you can take, let's assume you pass the index finger course, and everything is good. So you've got 1 module completed. And then I need to make sure that I don't complete this course now, but this course first, because otherwise it will be a very obscene image right now. So if now you have the middle finger course and you fail that exam, then, well, of course it wouldn't have been nice if you had passed it, but suppose you failed it, then you can again register. There's a second registration phase for the second registration phase for the second examination phase. So that means that you can pick the middle finger course exam again in the second phase if you wish to. You don't have to. You can also say, well, it was too hard for me. I'd rather take the course again in a year from now and take part in the exam in a year from now. But you might also want to take part, like for example, if you almost passed and there's only a couple of points that you lacked for passing, then maybe it would be a good idea to try to give it a second try while the contents are still fresh in your mind and you don't have too much work to get into the course again. And then you would have again 2 exams in the second examination phase. In particular, the second exam in the middle finger course, and the first time that you take an exam in the ring finger course. And of course, the ring finger course you must manage in this first attempt, or if you don't, again, 1 year from now will be the next chance, most probably at least. Some courses are also offering exams on a semesterly basis, which means that you might take a course in this semester. Suppose you fail or you can't take part, that's another way that you can miss an exam, that you simply don't take part because you got sick or something like that. You got ill, something which is not too rare in these days. You might go ill. In that case, you need a certificate from a doctor. That's very important. And again, there's some deadline there. You need to hand in that certificate from the doctor within a couple of days after the exam has taken place. And Then, of course, in that semester, as I said, you can't complete the course, and usually you have to wait for another year until then the next exam in that course will again be offered. But for some courses, there will also be after half a year, so after one semester, there will be, although the course will not be offered in the next summer semester, there will still be an exam offered in the next summer semester. However, you don't have an additional chance to pass the course achievement. So the course achievement is very important that you really pass that during the semester. But that should have already been done during the semester, as I said. And then once you're admitted to the exam, of course, you're admitted to the exam, and then you can write it, and you can also write it in half a year from now, as I said, in those courses where there's a semesterly exam. So for some courses, for most courses, we have two examination phases per year. Both are immediately after the course, one in the first examination phase, one in the second examination phase. And some of our courses have even have 3 attempts per year, and that is 2 immediately after the course has taken place, or in the semester break after the course has taken place, in the first and in the second examination phase, and a 3rd attempt in the semester after that, so half a year after that, in the other semester where the course has not been offered. However, keep in mind, if you fail an exam 3 times in a course, then that course is completely dead for you. You can't complete that course anymore. You only have 3 attempts to pass that course. If you have such a failed attempt, then that would be a place where you can swap later on against other modules that you have passed, but we don't need to worry about that right now. You simply pass your courses and everything should be fine. So that's basically what I wanted to talk about for the recommendations for the first semester. However, I would like to add something else, because we're currently in the middle of the first semester, and the second semester is already approaching somewhat fast. And I will come back to this topic in January, so I'll probably talk about this again in January, but I would also already, just to give you a sneak preview of what will be going on in the next, or what my recommendations would be for you if you want to switch to the second, if you don't want to switch, if you are in your second semester in the upcoming semester, which is you are in the first semester right now. And then for the second semester, once again, I would suggest that you pick again 2 modules that you believe should be the most interesting to you. This is quite a reduction from what I recommended to you in the first semester. Keep that in mind. I talked about 5 modules in the first semester, and even if you only completed 2 or 3 of them, that's no problem at all. Still, I would recommend for the second semester, pick just 2 modules. Pick just 2 modules from that seem to be the most interesting to you. Once again, by this time, you should already have some vague, at least a vague idea what your specialization might be in your master. So where you want, in which broad area you wish to write your master's thesis in. Will it be data and intelligence, or will it be data science, or will it be security, or will it be software engineering, or whatever? Any of those 7 areas that we will have available from next semester onwards. 6 now, 7 from the next semester onwards. Ideally, you already have an idea. So those should be your candidates. It must be, you don't have to already know it will be this specific focus area, but maybe you already have narrowed it down to like 2 or maybe at most 3 different areas that you might want to specialize in. And if you already know that, then try to have at least 2, ideally 3 modules completed in one of those focus areas after the semester. So sounds a bit contradictory because I just said just pick 2 modules, but you already have completed some, hopefully have completed some modules in the first semester. So adding those modules from the first semester and those modules from the second semester, in total you should have 2 or ideally 3 modules completed from those areas where you are most interested in. So if you say, well, I would like to go into software engineering as my specialization area, then you might already have taken at least 1 module in the first semester. Let's suppose you just had 1 module in that focus area in the first semester. And then you should pick those two modules. As I said, pick the ones that sound most interesting to you. But if there are interesting modules in software engineering and you already know that software engineering might probably be your specialization area, then pick two courses from that focus area. If you already had completed two courses in software engineering, software engineering is just one example, of course. You might be any of the other focus areas as well. If you already have two modules completed in software engineering in the first semester, then of course you just need to pick one course in this second semester. You might even pick none at all. But I would recommend picking one more from software engineering in this semester, and then you already have 3 modules completed. And you have still one module open for this semester because, as I said, I would recommend picking 2 modules in the second semester. So you already have some kind of wiggle room, so you can play around and see what might be your specialization area. Or if you are still in doubt, will it be software engineering or data science, then just check your modules and which modules have been in which focus areas, not just in which you have chosen them, because you can shift some of them around. We have many modules. It's also described in the module handbook. Many of our modules are in more than, not many, but quite a few modules are in more than one focus area. And if you later on decide, well, this is a module which is in software engineering and data science, and you picked it in software engineering and now decide to go into data science, then you can move it over to the other focus area later on. There's no need to worry about that right now. You can do that right in the end. It's just something that you need to keep in mind. So it's a good idea to keep a sheet of paper or a file on your computer where you just take notes which modules you have already taken and in which focus area you have chosen them, and in which focus areas they might also be. And then you get a large sheet, and then you can check which module is in which area or might be in which area for your personal study program. So if you already have 3 modules completed right now, then you basically already have one of the major requirements for writing your master's thesis, which is still way ahead. We're not talking about the master's thesis in the second semester. But at this point in time, you already would, if you studied like I just recommended, then you already have 3 modules in at least one area, which might then be your specialization area. And that leaves you a lot of room to shop around for those courses that are most interesting to you for the rest of your master program. You still have 5 modules to go in that case. Maybe you already have completed some more modules. You still have 4 modules to go. And you can then, you're very free in everything that you do from now on then. If you've just 2 modules completed in what might be your specialization area later, then that's also fine. It's no problem at all. But you're still already 2/3 to your on the way to your specialization area, which is already quite good as well. So no need to worry if you just have completed 2. And if you don't have any idea at this point in time, then try to keep your options open and try to have at least 2 modules completed in at least 2 different areas. As I said, if you don't know at all, but maybe you have already an idea, it will be something which is more on the technical side. And then that would mean it might be computer systems or networks and communication. And if that's the areas you're interested in, then you should, and you already know that it shouldn't be algorithm design and it shouldn't be security and shouldn't be data and intelligence, and it might also be data science, so something like that. Then try to have at least in 2 of those areas, like for example networks and communication and computer systems, to have at least 2 modules completed in each of them. And that leaves you again the options for the 3rd semester, which we won't talk about today. So that will leave you lots of options for continuing your master program and finding your own personal way into your master, because that's one of the important things here, and that's one of the, I think, very special things that we have in our master program here in Paderborn, that you can really tailor the master program for your own interests. We leave so many options open to you, but it's up to you to pick the right options And what the right options may be is something that you decide. We don't decide for you what the right options are. We have laid out plenty of options, and you need to choose for yourself, which means a lot of responsibility. Because with lots of options comes a lot of responsibility, as Spider-Man once put it, or the uncle of Spider-Man, I think it was, or something similar. So just keep that in mind. And if there's questions, if you don't know where to go to, talk to other students, to your fellow students, talk to me. I'm available for you. Again, website is below here. Contact me, and we will recommend things for you according on with special how would you say that? Well, I don't know. Well, we are trying to take into consideration what your interests are, and we're trying to find the right program for you. Because, as I said, there's so many options, and you need to find your way, and we can help you find your way around. Hopefully, at least, I think you can. And as I already said, if you pick courses, you should always... It shouldn't pick courses tactically. So pick a course which is in as many focus areas as possible or something like that. That's also a mindset you might have, but I wouldn't recommend that. So rather pick the courses along your interests. But if there are courses which are equally interesting to you, then if you don't yet know which area you want to go into, then maybe it is a good idea to pick of those equally interesting courses, then maybe pick the one which is in more than just one focus area, because then later on you might move something around. What is more important, and that's the point why I am talking about the second semester today already, because you need to take part in the project group in our master program. And the project group is something which runs over a complete year, not just one semester, but 1 year. And that means you should start your project group in your second semester, because remember, the master program is 4 semesters. The first semester is already running. The second semester is we're currently planning, and if you do in the second semester you do the first semester of the project group, and then the second semester of the project group, and that leaves the 4th semester open for you for being free for writing your master's thesis, because you should not, I repeat, you should not try to write your master's thesis while still in the project group, and in particular not while in the second semester of a project group, because the project group is a lot of work, and much of the work is being done in the second semester. Usually, it's just like in real life, any projects you will may have already experienced that if you have already worked, or you will experience it if you are working in some company. Much of the work comes towards the end of a project, and the same is true for project groups, because those project groups are really projects, as the name suggests. And if you want to take part in the second semester, want to take part in the project group in the second semester, then you need to register for the project group very early on. And we will send out an email to all of you in beginning, probably next week. Not yet sure, 100% sure about the dates. Probably next week, where we will make a survey and ask all of you who wants to take part in the project group in the next semester. Not which project group or anything, just who wants to take part, so that we know with how many students we have to calculate, so that we can offer enough project groups that everybody who wants to take part in a project group is guaranteed to get a place in a project group. So that helps us with our planning. Once we have the feedback from that survey, then we know how many project groups we need to offer. Then our lecturers will plan the project groups. And then there will be a registration phase for the project group. And that is already during the semester break. There will be but there will be a couple of emails coming towards you, which will then tell you, well, these are the project groups which there will be. Then there will be a project group event. There's a special day where all the project groups will be presented. So the lecturers will come and talk to you. Usually we did that in real life, but now many things are, of course, in the virtual world. So might again be something like a video conference or something like that. So where the lecturers present the project groups to you, and then after that you can decide for yourself which project group is interesting to you. As I said, project groups are not part of any of the focus areas, so you don't have to worry about focus areas. And then there will be a kind of assessment again, but this time it's not just a self-assessment, but rather the lecturers will put out a number of questions, and they will try to find out. Well, again, they will try to describe to you what they expect you to know, and then you will have to take that kind of test. It's not a test that's being graded, but not in the sense that there's a grade which is in your exam in the end, but it's a kind of a grading, because there's two kinds of grading. First of all, you decide which project group is the most interesting to one, which is the second, which you would choose in the second place, in the third, in the fourth, in the fifth, and so on. And you should complete that survey where you say which is the project group I'm interested in most. Because if you don't fill that survey in, that's the second survey I'm talking about, and we will remind you of everything. Don't worry about that. There's a web page about project groups as well on our institute's website, where you can find out all of those details, how that works, but you'll find out. No need to worry about that right now. And then you, so if you don't fill this survey in, then you will be assigned randomly to a project group. So it might well be that you are in a project group that that you're not really interested at all in, or that you simply don't have the competences to take part in, and that's always a bad idea. So make sure that you take part in this in the first as well as the second survey, and then you say which is the project group you would like best, and which is second best, third best, and so on. Usually you will get either the first or second of your choices, sometimes the third of your choices, and very, very rarely one of the lower choices. So usually you will get your favorite or second on your favorite list from those project groups. So take that assessment really seriously. But as I said, there's also some kind of little test in there, and the lecturers also grade from those tests. So it's also important that you really take part in those tests, in particular for those project groups where you really want to take part in, because the lecturers will then check if they believe that you are a good fit for that project group. Because a project group, it's something like in a company. Imagine you are trying to build a team of co-workers, and you're trying to find out which are the co-workers which are best suited for the project to succeed. You don't want to have any people in there who don't have any idea about what the project is about. So you want to have the right people in your project. And the same is here for the project group. So the lecturers then check those tests and say, well, this is a student I think fits very good into this project, into my project group. This is one, he says he wants to go into my project group, but I don't believe he's really suited for that. I don't see that he or she really brings along the prerequisites that I would expect that people have to have in order to successfully take part in this project group. And so they do a grading as well. And then there's an algorithm called a perfect marriage, and then we'll have a distribution of students to all of those project groups. And what we can guarantee is that everybody gets a place in a project group, everybody who wants to have one, and everybody will get a place in a project group. And then, but of course, it might be that you land in a project group which you thought might be interesting to you, and you've got that despite the fact that maybe the lecturer said, well, I don't really see that this person fits into my project group, so there's no guarantee that you will pass it. But there's never a guarantee, of course, that you will pass anything. But yeah, you'll just have to see. So again, take those this whole distribution method of places and project groups, take that seriously and really voice your interest by taking part in those surveys and those tests, so that we can find the right project group for you, hopefully. It's always difficult, this distribution process, and so the more information we have available about you and you give to us, like, for example, which are your interests, all of those things matter in this place, so in order to give the kind of like the right project group to you. So why the project group in the second semester and not in the third semester? Well, for one, if you really want to complete the master in 2 years, then as I said, it's no good idea to have a project group in parallel to while you are already writing your master's thesis. So that's not a good idea at all. And on the other side, of course, it's very important that you, if it might be that you find out during the project group that the project group isn't what you expected it to be, or that you find out that the project group is too hard for you, or the lecturer finds out that you are simply not able to cope with the content of the project group. All of those things may happen, and that might be that after 1 semester you find out you drop out of the project group. You are either kicked out of the project group or you drop out of the project group. Both things may happen. And if that is the case, then you can start a new project group half a year later, so in your third semester. If you already started your first project group, or if you only start your project group in the third semester, then you would already be in the fourth semester if you need a second try for a project group, and that would mean that you're already kind of running late. So that's why I would strongly recommend register and apply for a project group for your second semester when you are here, not later than that, but already in the second semester. But there's one thing more, and that's the second reason why I recommend only picking 2 modules in this second semester, 2 of the normal course modules in the second semester, and that is that you should also register and apply for a seminar. For a seminar, there's a similar distribution process like for the project groups. It's a little simpler than the one for the project groups. Again, we'll make a survey coming soon, next week, probably next week, where we'll try to find out how many seminars we have to offer, so that everybody who wants to take part in a seminar can take part in a seminar. And again, there's some kind of assignment process very similar to that of the project groups. I won't go into the details here because I've already given you too much details on the project groups, I'm afraid. We will explain the whole process to you once the time is there. Again, seminar, why in the second semester? Because you need to take 2 seminars. And once again, it would be a good idea to take 1 seminar in the second, 1 seminar in the third semester, so that once again, you have the fourth semester free for your master's thesis. You won't be completely free of courses, probably, so that you don't have to do anything but the master's thesis in the fourth semester. It might be, but there's no guarantee. But again, if you try to complete your seminars in the second and third semester, it just leaves you, once again, it just leaves you more of options and more room in the fourth semester while you're writing your master's thesis, hopefully writing your master's thesis. Or if you fail one of those seminars, once again, of course, then you might have to take one seminar in your third semester and then one in the fourth semester, and hopefully pass both of them. And then you would have a seminar in parallel to the master's thesis, which is doable. I wouldn't recommend doing that, but if all else fails, you can do it. Unlike a project group, I would say you really shouldn't try that. But seminar and master's thesis in parallel can work, I would say. Or you have to postpone your master's thesis by 1 semester, which is also something many people do. So yeah, that's basically the reason why you should apply for 2 normal modules plus a project group plus a seminar. And that should be your program for your second semester here. Again, you need to remember that you need to register for the module, for the course, for the seminar, for the project group, plus the course achievement in, if applicable at least, for the course achievement in the course, plus the exam in the course, plus the course achievement in the project group. In the first semester in the project group, there's no exam. In the first semester in the project group, there is a course achievement. And in the seminar, there's no course achievement. You just need to register for the exam. And once you're in the second semester of the project group, you need to register for the exam in the project group. Lots of difficult things, The lecturers will tell you all about all of those details. And as I said, there's this Twitter account, which is on my website, which is linked below here. And on that site, on that Twitter account, as I already said, I will remind you of each and every deadline that is coming up. So do yourself a favor, subscribe to my Twitter account. It's not because I'm getting money from that, and I'm not, but it's really because there's a lot of information coming around, and you are highly likely to not miss any deadlines if you if you subscribe to that Twitter account, and if you read my tweets, of course. That's another very important thing. You need to read the tweets and basically follow the instructions. So that's very important again. Once again, like in the first semester, if you struggle with the course or the total workload, once again, just concentrate on as I said, we have 2 courses left. Just 2 courses that I would recommend picking in the second semester, and I would then again recommend concentrate on just one of those courses, and do your best to not drop out of the project group, and do your best to not drop out of the seminar, because those are, I believe, more important to pass at this point in time. So if your workload is too high, or if you struggle with one of the courses, drop one of those courses. If for some reason you find that you struggle with the project group or with the seminar, you can also drop them, of course. But as I said, especially with the project group, there's lots of things involved, because a project group because both have this rather complicated process for taking part in a seminar or project group. And of course, the project group, especially if you drop a project group in your second semester, you've already lost a year, not just a semester. So just keep that in mind. And once again, if you drop out of a course, then deregister from the course achievement. That again is of course very important. And last not least, keep an eye on your project group and your seminar, as I already said. And again, which is something which I mentioned very early on in this live stream already, but here we have it once again, and that is the fact that, or the recommendation that you keep up the communication with the supervisor in the project group as well as in the seminar. And the same is true if later on you'll write your master's thesis. That's one of the most common and one of the most severe mistakes that you can make, that is not to communicate with your supervisors, and do that continually throughout the process. There will be someone in the seminar, there will be someone in the project group, and later on in the master's thesis as well, of course, who is your supervisor. There will be people named. It may not be for the project group, might have several supervisors. That doesn't have to be the lecturer himself, the professor who's managing all that. It might be some of their teaching assistants. It might be the professor themselves. And whoever it is, talk to those people. You can talk to each and every person in our department, be it a professor, be it a teaching assistant, be it a secretary. All of those people you can talk to, and you should do so whenever you feel there is something which is not clear to you, where you're not sure if you understood things right, whenever you feel there might be some problem coming up. The earlier you address a problem, the easier it is to get rid of it. So that's basically the end of what I wanted to tell you today. So that was quite a bit, I'm afraid. I will come back especially to the planning of the second semester when we'll do our next live stream on this topic, which is the live stream for our current students, in our master program, because our next live stream geared towards this audience will be not next month. Our normal live streams continue next month, but the 23rd of December would be the next date for this audience, and on the 23rd of December, it's almost Christmas, so we won't do a live stream on that evening. So we will, this audience is again being addressed in 2 months from now, so end of January, and that is already the time when exams will be not too far away. By that time, you already need to have deregistered from your course achievements if you don't want to take part in a program, so keep that in mind. That those dates will already have passed when we meet again in this live stream here, if you come at least. If you don't, yeah, well, then you don't. And it's already the time for planning for the exams and planning for the second semester. And by that time already we will have some ideas about which project groups there will be. Maybe the date for the presentation of the project groups is already available. So we will talk about the second semester again in 2 months from now, so end of January. So keep that in mind. And if you feel that there's any questions that you might have regarding the examination phase, the examination phases, so the time which is now from the end of the semester until the beginning of the next semester, so basically in the months of February and March. If there is anything that you feel unsure about, uncertain about what to do in the second semester, so for planning the second semester already, all of those things, those will be topics 2 months from now, so end of January. Keep an eye for the dates. They will be announced again on my website. As I said, it's linked below this video here. So keep an eye on there and on that website. And there's always this, or on our YouTube channel, of course. You will also see you can also subscribe to the YouTube channel and hit that bell icon there. So you'll get a notification whenever there is a new live stream, but just keep in mind that there might be some live streams and also some videos, of course, that you might not so much be interested in because some of them are in German, for example. But you can also subscribe to the channel. You can click that bell icon so you'll get a notification, and then you already know what next on this and that date there will be a live stream with the target audience, current master students. And if that is the case, then join me, ask your questions, because if you don't ask questions, I'll do the same as today. I'll just keep on babbling here and talk about things that I think might be of interest to anybody. If they really are, I don't know. As long as nobody stops me from babbling, I'll just babble on. No, not really. I'll stop right now. This should be everything for tonight. And I guess I'll see you hopefully in one of our next live streams here, and whenever that may be. So maybe next month or the month after that. And if we don't see you, just have to organize something over here. And if I don't see you until the end of the year, I wish you a Merry Christmas and a good, a Happy New Year. But maybe we'll meet again sometime or so. So that's it for tonight. And with that, I'll leave you and say goodbye to all of you. Bye-bye.